There were times when I just could not deal with being there or getting licks because maybe I didn't get an A and I got a B or something like that. Getting licks for such small things, being hit in the head with anything, a mop stick or whatever could be found, being in that sort of stressful environment, I wanted to find my real mom. And I started looking for her, and I ran away from home. I would say a total of maybe 5 times, trying to find my mom, my real mom, you know, because I just wanted to live normal. I wanted to live with my real mother and be normal and live a normal life like other kids, not caged up life like what I was actually living at that point. I felt like I was being caged because I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't do anything like my other friends, my other teenager friends. I mean, when we used to have like the carnival shows in the summers, when I went to the show with my parents, I couldn't even go to the bathroom. Like if I went to the bathroom and I stayed too long, she would just come and look for me, and she would start hitting me in the head. And if I even stopped just to talk to my friends, it was very embarrassing. Many times, just being embarrassed in public amongst my friends just for talking, or just wanting to socialize with my friends at a show at a Queen of Farms or something. Just wanted to socialize. I had to, go through such embarrassment, and it wasn't easy. It's something I always said that, once I had kids, that I wouldn't do that to my kids based on how I had to grow up. But so this was my school years growing up, and it was always, like I said, couldn't go out anywhere or anything. And then it just kind of got to a point, and I remember it was my last year of high school, that there was a lady. Her name was Miss Karen Weston. She passed away about a year or so ago, a year and a half. And Karen Weston actually lesson she gave me tutoring for our Caribbean examination, which was our CXC at the time. And with her giving me that coaching, knowing what was happening in my life, she actually reached out to me and said that she knew where my one of my sisters were living, which was my youngest sister. Her name was Colette, but she's passed away for today. And she told me she knew where she was living, and she knew the people who had her, who adopted her, and she was going to take me to see her. And Miss Weston did. She actually took me to see my brother too, who I had never met, Alvin, and she took me to see both of them. And it was a good reunion because my adopted father and mother, well, not so much my adopted dad, it was really my adopted mother. She would have never have allowed it. She never knew up till this day that I had actually initially met her through Miss Weston. And Miss Weston took me there. I remember that day very well when I first met Colette, and it was nice to meet an actual sibling, of my own, which actually I had met one before. Her name was Sherilyn, because she was adopted by a seamstress who used to sew for my adopted mother. But every time that we went to that seamstress, um, my sister at the time, Sherilyn, would say something like, she'd ask about her sister, and she would tell her that I'm not her sister. So, but she never try to help us develop a relationship, which I at that time I never even remembered Sherilyn, like even visibly seeing her, but I must have seen her once or twice. But it was never a case that it was an open thing that whenever we went to this seamstress, I would have gotten to see this other person that was actually my sister. So I grew up, and like I said, it got closer to me graduating. I finally met Colette and I met Alvin, and it was good. It was a great thing. And then I graduated. But then after I graduated, I thought at that point that I would have had some sort of like a freedom, to finally be with my friends and socialize like my other friends and all these things. But that never happened. It actually got worse. Started going to state college, and it was like, I remember one night my adopted mom came to pick me up from from classes. I think it was law class at the time, because at this point nobody asked me, Jackie, what do you want to be? It was, oh, she's going to be a lawyer. Oh, she's going to be a doctor. Nobody said, what do you want to be? What is it you want to be? What did you like doing? Um, so everything was kind of dictated. I never had a say to my life of how I wanted it to be. The one thing that was heavily put on me through my adopted mom was her putting me down. But like I say this to say that the words that people say can alter the course of your life. And if you don't know, you will fall into the trap of falling into that sinkhole that they've set for you by the words that they've said from their mouth. This mouth, this tongue is so powerful that so many of us don't even know the powers that the tongue have. Had I had known years back the power that we hold with the words that we say, I would have been able to shield myself from a lot of the negative that she had put into the atmosphere for my life. And I think a lot of the mistakes that I made, I would have been able to stop them or not make them happen, because I would have been able to think and direct my energy in such a way to repel these negative words or rebuke those negative words that you would say, but just speak more positive into the atmosphere to make all these positive things happen in my life. But I did not have anybody to talk to. It was just me, because at the age of like 17, when I graduated 16, at 17, I left their home because I wanted to meet my real father. But I just still didn't have a mom who would sit down and talk and say, well, this is how life is going to be. I had to learn the hard way with everything, from love, and one of the things I always think is that when you don't get that love, in your household, the love that you're supposed to have, the love that of a parent, you go and you seek that love outside because you don't feel that love inside. So you go out there looking for love, but you're still not sure of the definition of love. So you have it twisted because you're not understanding what love is really about. But for today's session, I just want you to understand the first thing about life and our path that we take in life has to do with the words that we say and what we replicate onto the atmosphere, because what we say is what a lot of time dictates what's going to happen to us later down. So in our next session, I'm going to go into details more about the words that we say and how they can affect how our life goes in the course of how the journey that we're going to take in life. So for now, I'll say bye, and I'll see you guys again on episode 2.